What is going on, people? We're here for episode 9 of the Reveal podcast. We haven't got everyone here with us today. You can see that the screen's a bit messed up. Let me just change that background a little bit. There we go. It's a lot better. Not everyone's here with us today, but actually, no, everyone should be here because I believe Nigel's going to be here a little bit later. But for now, we've got Rory, who's currently stressing out about his Liverpool game going on right now. I heard there was a bit of a penalty incident earlier.
It's all good. Yeah, I was being kind to us this week.
They're not measuring the sleeves of players' shirts this week, so it's all good. But yeah, so we got Rue with us. We got Ralph as well. You can see Ralph is finally actually looking in the camera this time. He's not looking off center or looking at something else in the back.
I'm not bugging. It's all bare staticky, man. Something wrong with my.
Can the rest of you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but
I can hear you. Yeah.
It's my phone. I know it's my phone.
All right, cool. But
here we go again.
Oh yeah,
here we go. Hopefully,
it does this every week.
Hopefully you don't drop out. Hey, look, I think there's more than one thing bugging today. And we'll get into that later on. But we got Felix here as well. I know we were watching the game earlier. He's frozen. I think he's gone.
I thought he was looking at you like this.
What a start.
I think he's okay. He's, all right, Felix, how you feeling? Can you hear me? Yeah, all right, cool. He's got that.
Stand on your data, bro.
Yeah, because Sam's the only one that's free flowing out here. We can see you, Sam. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good, smiling.
Got you nice Wi-Fi in it.
Say that again.
That BT Sport, man. You got your nice Wi-Fi in it.
No. So let's go into it, guys, because obviously we ain't got much more to look at. I'm sure everyone who's sort of been keeping the breath of what's going on. We all know that today is a North London Derby special. It's a Derby special. We're going to be doing these as much as possible. It's not just going to be for the North London Derby. We'll have another special next week with United versus Man City, which I'm sure is going to be a very interesting game. Seen as, honestly speaking, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is probably like one of the luckiest managers in the Premier League. But we'll put that to the side for a sec. But there's loads of derbies coming up in this Premier League calendar leading up to Christmas anyway. So we'll be bringing a lot of these derby specials to you guys. But we're going to be going for the North London Derby today, obviously, because that was the game that we just witnessed earlier on, not long ago. And there being a few Arsenal fans on this platform, you can imagine that tempers were high, things were a bit different here and there. He said he can only see two. But that tempers were high, but we just thought, why not? Why don't we just go into it and just talk about a little bit about what we've seen today? And yeah, we'll just hope that it doesn't get too heated. But Sam seems to be all smiley. Usually he's the one that comes here with a hoodie on his head and all that kind of stuff, and he's not really willing to talk. I'm going to go to him first. I want to see what's your coping mechanism?
My coping mechanism.
Yeah, how you coping? Like, because you seem to be coping really well. So teach us, how you coping? What's your coping mechanism?
What is the thing that Arsenal fans say that kills them?
What,
the hope. They say the hope that kills. So when you get rid of the hope, you can't die, bro. That's how it works. You can't be defeated. I said last week that there's no way that we're going to beat Spurs. I don't know whether I said it on the pod or off the pod, but I said it last week. There's no way we're going to beat Tottenham Hotspur. We lose 2-0 today, and I can't be angry. It's what I expected. Do you know what I mean? The hope kills you. When you have no hope, you can't be upset, bro. Usually, I'm the guy after a defeat. I just don't speak to anybody. I'm angry, bro. Like, I get it all in my emotions. But today, it just is what it is. We were not good enough. We're not good enough. We're miles behind Spurs right now. Miles behind. Arsenal Football Club are sitting 15th in the Premier League, fam. There is legit nothing to be happy about. Today, you know what? I have to actually hold my hands up and say that Lacazette was the best player on the pitch today. He was the most hard-working player on the pitch. I have to say it first of all because I slander him week in, week out. So today I need to give credit where it's due. Everybody else completely flat. The worst player on the team, Aubameyang. That's just how it
Aubameyang
is.
for you. That's a surprise, bro.
Non-existent in the game for me today. Non-existent in the game for me today. I'm sorry. I know there's obviously other players that played bad, but he doesn't even look like he wants to play football, period, anymore. He doesn't look... Bro, all his weaknesses now are starting to get exposed. Because someone was saying to me, only thing he's good at was sprinting and finishing. And I'm like, that's the type of player he is, you know? You feed him the ball and that's what he'll go and do. But bro, in situations like this where you can't rely on a player like Aubameyang, he's not working hard. He won't go into the middle to get you that ball back. And bro, everything was just flat today. And if I'm honest, people can say, "Oh, Spurs only won because we played badly." No, I think they were world class today, bro. That was Jose Mourinho tactic football right there.
Yeah.
Score 2 goals in the first half, or score 2 goals and then defend. That's it. They had, I don't think they had a shot on target in the first half, bro. Or like at some point in the second half, sorry, in the second half. At some point in the second half, they didn't have no shots on at goal at all, no attempts, because they knew that they didn't need to score anymore. They scored 2 goals and then just let the game roll on. Arsenal were we were lost, bro. We didn't know what to do. I was watching the team, I was thinking, these guys are literally just passing the ball around like they have no option. There is nothing we can do. We can't create. They don't know where to turn. It was really hard watching that team today. Like, I know I'm waffling on, but there's so much to unpack.
I said, what's his coping mechanism? And then he just exposed himself. He ain't coping.
Yeah, sorry, bro. I didn't mean to.
He ain't coping.
There's so much to unpack with this team.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You know, we could blame Arteta, but I genuinely think it's the players, man. The players, they failed Wenger towards the end of his reign. They failed Emery. You know, they failed Lumberg in a short spell. They're failing Arteta now. That's just how it is. You know what I mean? And people like I was speaking to one of my friends, and they were saying if Arteta was the manager of United, the type of players that they have, this wouldn't be a problem. It's just only at Arsenal Football Club that this is a problem. Like year in, year out. And this is why I can't have hope in this team. Of course, I want them to do well and I want the players to do well, but I can't invest my energy into a team that doesn't give me energy back.
Amen, buddy.
No, well said. Well said. Ralph, did you watch the game at all?
No, you must be mad for watching that. All I did was look at.
Wait, so you knew we were going to talk about it today. You just didn't watch it.
Mental health is a priority. All I know, they scored. Sonny scored a bad boy goal, and it was a great counter attack. Harry Kane, great finish. I wasn't expecting, bro. Why am I watching Arsenal? That makes no sense. Even, bro. Why am I watching Arsenal? Like, why? Just so I can analyze what it's the same story, man. I'm just
so many things.
Have you noticed how happy I am? Because I didn't watch Arsenal. I didn't watch it. That's my conclusion.
Bro, I don't blame you. Because so many things happened in this game. Legit, like there's so much.
I watch when we play Sheffield United.
Why?
They're bottom of the league.
I think that's plain and simple from Ralph. I'm not even saying for any game. But obviously, Rue, as a neutral, I want to go to you next. Like watching the game as a neutral, how would you assess it?
Look, we
tread carefully.
We've got say it like it is. We're dead, fam. We're dead. Man said 50. Rue, just say it like Rue. Rue. I know you like to go into. Do you know what with Rue? Yeah, you're not really brutal on the Arsenal teams or like whenever these men ask you. I know your boys in it, but just say it how it is. Rue will sit there and just he'll decide. Do you know what he does? Rue thinks he's smart. See, he'll tell us what's wrong with our team. And he'll say it so nicely, like, right, yeah, this is fixable. If this happens, yeah, if this happens,
trust the process. Trust the process.
This here. No, Ruth, say it like that. Today, I want to hear you say it like it is. Don't try to decipher nothing like it's some maths.
Why are you trying to put words in the guy's mouth?
Don't try to decipher it like it's a maths equation. Just say it like it is Arsenal are whack, and that's that.
Look, well, that's changed my answer. Yeah. They weren't good enough. They were outclassed. It wasn't a good game for a neutral because it was very, very Jose Mourinho. It was very sort of just a couple of cheeky counter attacks or one moment of magic and just hold the fort down for the remaining 88 minutes. It wasn't fun for a neutral, but Arsenal weren't, they weren't dominated. They just did nothing with the possession they had. They took, they had plenty of opportunities, and yet the final pass, that final ball, there was just nothing going right for them in front of. I don't think Lloris has had a difficult day at all, but I'm staggered that, because with the build up to this game, it's always, the big names in derbies, isn't it? So with this, it's Aubameyang and Kane. Aubameyang was useless, and I don't understand why. I don't like the idea that you just always blame the players and looking like they don't want to play for Arsenal, because the manager's job is to motivate this side, and that derby should be enough motivation. But yeah, Aubameyang just looks like he's got no motivation to do anything anymore. I've never seen a dip like it in form in any sense. He's just completely fallen off the radar, and that's killing the team.
He needs a normal skin fade as well. He's stopped that rubbish now.
It's just hurting the team having such a dead attack, and that's what cost you big time.
I have to agree. Felix, you finally been able to join us. Okay, he's moving around, so your internet's calm. How would you? Obviously, as I said, we watched it together. How would you dissect that game? Well, actually, let's just stick to the game. We don't really have to talk about Arsenal in general. You can if you want to, but just stick to the game.
Well, I think you can't necessarily talk about the game without talking about Arsenal. And fair play to Tottenham. Like, we can't necessarily just say that we were poor. Fair play to Jose Mourinho and that Tottenham side, because they have shown right now why they are where they are. They may not necessarily play the best football all the time, but one thing for sure is that they are very hard to beat at the moment. But on to Arsenal. I think this game showed, really, for me watching and observing, it showed where the problem areas really lie in the club. And it was shown for everyone to see, without necessarily going into picking on certain players and whatnot. I think the boys alluded to it earlier, how bad of a dip Aubameyang currently is in. And I think not just on the pitch, I think even off the pitch. I think there was an interview that came out the other day, and people were just looking into his body language, even when he was answering the questions and things like that. And you just see and you think, what has changed in this guy? Because I don't know how you can go from scoring 20 or having 25, 30 plus goal contributions in 2 seasons, and this season you have 3 in about how many games? 15 plus games, or no, they're not 15, but 10 plus games in and around the top scoring positions in the last few seasons, and then this season not even anywhere near. And obviously Aubameyang's form, I think, just shows in the bigger picture just how bad the state of the club is right now, really. Because again, I don't really want to point fingers at certain players, but there are a few players in there, and like I said earlier, how this game really showed the problem areas in the current squad. There are certain players in there that you sort of got to start to ask the questions as to why they're still at the club. Because I'm not scapegoating him, because he wasn't the only bad player on the pitch, but there's certain aspects of Hector Bellerin's game where you kind of have to question, because how I think he's 25, 26, a 26-year-old professional footballer has been called out for foul throws about 6 times already this season.
You can't keep his feet on the ground.
It's bizarre. What is this?
I'm telling you, man, he's trying to make it. Look. Have you seen the way he's dressed? He's trying to make throw-ins trendy as well. You see the way he now wears his kits. He's trying to make
Yeah,
a throw as trendy as well.
That's what I'm saying. I keep saying, I'm just like, he's trying to, the Tierney, Bellerin kind of link up there, shirts tucked in, the wristbands and everything, all nice and stylish. But at the end of the day, your football has to do the talking. And for me right now, it isn't. And again, I don't want to scapegoat him because he wasn't the only bad player on the pitch. But
He's one of the worst.
right now, well, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I keep saying it. He probably might just need to go back and train with the under 10s academy so they can teach him how to throw a ball. Because that was embarrassing. And for me, I'm like, that happening. What's that?
Do you want to borrow our throwing coach? Because everyone mocked us for getting that. You won't need it.
Oh, seriously. If he's available, I think Arsenal should take him because it's borderline embarrassing. It happening once or twice is fair enough, but I can count about 6 or 7 times already this season, and we're already 11 games in. That he's moved. I think it was one match we scored 3 times in one game.
Yeah,
but it's yeah. I mean, overall, again, fair play to Tottenham because they have the quality to pick you off on a counter when they have the ball, and they have the defensive security to shut the game out when they need to. And it's a testament to how good Jose Mourinho got them working. But for Arsenal, it's problems.
I have to agree with what everyone has said. I'm just gonna say my turn now, because I got a few things I want to get off my chest. But again, I think everybody, every Arsenal fan will have the North London derby as one of the most anticipated fixtures in your diary. There isn't anybody. It's not just Arsenal fans in general. I think a lot of people around the football world, if you love the Premier League, you love the North London derby. It's probably one of the most watched derbies throughout the football calendar year. Now, coming into this game, I think everyone was anticipating it. Like for me, there hasn't been a single North London derby where my heart ain't pounding with excitement. But then at the same time, I have to look at it this year and say this is probably the first time that my heart was pounding with both excitement and I was extremely nervous because as often as we keep saying that the only way the game will pan out in a certain way is what Arsenal turns up basically for Arsenal in that sense. And I'm afraid today, unfortunately, it wasn't the best Arsenal performance we've ever seen. Now, I have to agree with what everyone has said. 2 bright sparks or 3 bright sparks, I think, in the team today. I have to say, Kieran Tierney down the left back row, I think he played pretty well. Lacazette as a centre attacking midfielder, I think he played quite well as well. And if I kind of look, and I don't think Willian was all that bad either, if I'm honest with you. I don't think Willian was all that poor. I think he was another one who was trying quite a bit down the flanks, trying to knock balls into the box. He was trying to make things happen as much as he could. I'm not saying he was brilliant, but he wasn't one of the names I would actually put down as one of the worst players on the pitch. Now, moving away from bright sparks, I think some of the worst players on the pitch were actually Granit Xhaka, who I thought he was extremely poor today. And to this point, to the life of me, I still can't understand why people think he's so important in the Arsenal midfield, if I'm honest with you. I still don't get it. Still really, really don't get why people think he's so important. I think about his transfer fee around the time, I think he was over 30 million we spent on him. And N'Golo Kante went to Chelsea for 25 million. And obviously, you know what kind of role Kante plays. You know who Kante is. You know what he can do. Granit Xhaka, I look at him, he's been at Arsenal almost 5 years now. Still don't really know what he really offers to the team in any way, shape, or form. But he was exceptionally poor today. As Felix mentioned as well, Bellerin, absolutely terrible that at your age, obviously you heard the commentator saying that he's one of the players who has played in the most North London derbies out of anyone. Put that to the side now. Think about the amount of years you've been a senior. You still can't take a throw-in. You actually still can't take a throw-in. And I think that in terms of everything shocks me more because if you take 1 or 2 foul throws at the beginning of the season, everyone will say, okay, you're rusty. You're getting caught up on certain things. So you'd be like, let me fix up. But the fact that, as Felix said, 5, 6, maybe even 7 foul throws he's been called back for because he's not throwing the ball properly. And that's literally the most basic the most basic. The way he's throwing the ball, it kind of reminds me of some of the brothers I used to play football with in secondary school. When you're playing football at lunchtime and they said the ball's gone out for a throw, and they're more or less jumping when they release the ball. Like it's that I don't understand how a professional footballer can still be getting called out for foul throws. Put that to the side now. I want to move on to Aubameyang, because I look at, and this isn't by any stretch of the imagination am I saying that, this is a Lacazette versus Aubameyang, nothing like that. But I think I take his performances recently and what he's been doing recently to show everybody how things can change in football. And unfortunately, as I said, I was having a chat with Felix, and I was just thinking to myself, no one can walk away from the fact that Aubameyang has pretty much carried this Arsenal team for like the last 2 years. If he continues in the way he's going, because realistically, no one knows how long this drought is going to last. He very well might go the entire season and maybe only score 9 goals this season. Do you get what I mean? Nobody knows. We have no clue how this year is going to pan out. But at the end of the day, if he continues in the form he's going in till March, you're all of a sudden going to get Arsenal fans screaming, shouting, "Oh, Aubameyang, I never believed him in him anyway. He was always rubbish for me. Take him out of the team." And I'm thinking to myself that this is what I'm saying. Like, even though the guy has proved his worth in a number of occasions, you will still get fans that are calling for his head and calling for him to be removed from the team and everything. Now, today, his performance, again, you could put it down to many things. But, Felix and I were talking about it earlier. And I know we mentioned that, still lack of service is one thing, because I look at the way Arsenal were playing today, which is another thing I have an issue with in terms of the way they attack and the way the attacking system works. Because I'm thinking to myself, Aubameyang, I think it was Alex Scott who actually made a very good point after the game on Sky Sports, mentioning that Aubameyang's only scored 3 goals with his head in his entire Arsenal career. 3 out of the 50+ goals he scored, he's only scored 3 with his head. Why then do we keep crossing the ball? I don't understand why we literally just kept whipping the ball into the box. 1, Aubameyang doesn't score headers. 2, the Arsenal front runners aren't even that tall anyway. It's not like we've got Giroud up there who's going to be getting on the end of those, or any of these big, tall, physical players. Your Sebastian Haller of West Ham, and all of those guys are going to be getting on the end of it. Aubameyang can't. He's not really known for his head. So it's like, what are the strengths, and are you actually playing to it? And again, this is probably going to be my last point. Mikel Arteta, as great as he's been, I think I was having a chat with Sam actually earlier this week, and I said to him, I think you mentioned to me, Sam, that if we finish 16th, would I turn into say Arteta should go and I said no, because me as an Arsenal fan, I can never ever look away from what that man gave us last season, in a season where literally we had nothing. The football was dead. The manager, obviously, there was still turmoil. The club was in probably the most toxic state it's been in years. And for him to come in, establish a system, and we actually won a trophy. That beautiful day at Box Park, Wembley, I'll never forget it. It almost brought me to tears. I can't lie. I was that like in awe of the moment, and I can never shy away from that. And I still think that he is the right man for the job. But as Felix said, and I think as everyone has mentioned, at this present moment in time, there's too many Arsene Wenger players still at the club. There's still too many Unai Emery players still at the club. I think it needs to be gutted. It just, they need to gut the club and completely remove the deadwood and bring new players in. Of course, it's something that I think we've been saying for so long. But also, having said that, I think Arteta has landed himself in a bit of deep water, especially with this Ozil situation. And I think everyone will keep mentioning it. Everyone's going to keep talking about it until it gets rectified, because obviously he's now talked about how it's purely a football decision. It's his decision to make. Cool. It hasn't worked. You've taken him out of the team. We lack creativity. Obviously, Lacazette's dropped in there. He's doing an all right job at the moment, but it's still a role that he needs to learn if he is going to continue in that role. But if it really was for football reasons at this present moment in time, then it shouldn't be very difficult for you to put him back in January. If you say that it's football reasons, then you should literally have no problem redrafting the team and just sticking him back in the team in January. But then all of a sudden, if January comes up and you're saying that, then I think every single fan is going to know that you were lying and that it wasn't football reasons.
Can you still jump back in the squad come January? Can you?
You can resubmit from January.
Yeah, you can reshuffle.
So if he doesn't come back into the team in January, then you can argue that he lied to everyone, bold-faced lie to say that it was football reasons. But that's the end of it for me. It wasn't a very good day. I've literally been waiting because I literally thought that this was a chance for us to get our season back on track, and for us to actually get some points under our belt. But at the moment, 16th, 11 points away from top, and never mind top at the moment. I'm worried about relegation.
You know the crazy thing is exactly what Sam said though. It's like everyone was hoping that this was the game that will bring our season back on track, but realistically, all Arsenal fans at the back of our minds were thinking, you know what, if we can get out of this without, you know, conceding that many goals, that's a good result. A draw. No, I don't think any Arsenal fan really went into this game thinking we're gonna win though.
Nah.
Maybe Nick at the end.
I think we all had hope.
If we were lucky.
I think we all had hope.
You see, Arsenal, yeah. Why other clubs can they reshuffle and they pattern themselves quickly? See, like Tottenham, they're doing dead on the potch, yeah. They went and got a new gaffer at whatever that one season of doing nothing. Now they're doing bits already. Why are Arsenal?
I think
3-5.
I think the mentality in the team has been so poor for so long. Like the mentality has been so bad for so long that it's literally seeped into every single fiber of the club. So to take it out is just going to take so much longer. So I think Arteta knows he's got a massive job on his hands. And right now, if I'm honest with you, like 90% of that team needs to be dropped, like to be changed up. If I'm honest with you,
that's 90%. The mentality is one thing, but also if you look at Tottenham, for example, there was a Mourinho came in and saw the problem areas. He knew that they needed a new left back, a new holding midfielder, a support striker for Harry Kane. Someone to come in, and he addressed those. Obviously, with the striker, there's time will tell whether he really is, you know, good. But at the end of the day, he's coming to be a support striker, not so much to be the main. If he plays well, then that's
is that Vinicius you're talking about?
I can't remember his name. Yeah, that's his name, Vinicius.
Yeah, he's proved to be quite decent so far because every time he comes on, he actually makes a difference. So yeah.
But if Harry Kane's fit, he plays. If Harry Kane's not fit, he can come in and do the job certainly.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the addressing of the problem areas. And yes, Arteta did bring in, he did address that, you know, midfield role with Partey. But I feel like overall, and also obviously with the addition of Gabriel, but with Arsenal, something that has been said pre-Wenger's departure and up until now, so the last maybe 6 years or so, is that we are 2 or 3 signings away from challenging. And every year we seem to make. We always seem to be short of the signings that we need to make to then challenge every season. So it's crazy, and also for some strange reason we seem to be one of the most cursed clubs in the Premier League with injuries, where Partey's literally been out in his whole Atletico Madrid career. He was out for a total of 3 weeks. He's been here less than 4 months, and he's already been out for 2. almost a month or 2. And he's going to be, I don't know how long he's going to be out again now after today.
This has been a reoccurring issue at Arsenal as well. This whole injury problem. We seem to have players that are always out for 7, 8, 9 months. Like
it's never a short, like, you know, it's never a short-term injury like a couple of weeks. It's always 2 months, 6 weeks,
9 months.
Yeah, some miss a year and a half. And when they come back, they're never the same.
Yeah, another thing that shocks me, that you got obviously that whole stat with injuries, and I think that's the very reason why a lot of people have been saying that you need to look into Arsenal's their medical staff, because I don't understand why they literally, like, I remember there was one time N'Golo Kante went down for Chelsea, and you know, they were mentioning that he might be out for a couple of weeks, he'll be out for maybe 2-3 weeks. He came back in 4 days and played 90 minutes. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, you know, Arsenal players. I mean, with Arsenal, there's certain injuries that people will get. Someone will come and say, "Oh yeah, he's pulled up his hamstring. He'll be out for 3 weeks." Arsenal players will get a hamstring injury and they'll be out for 4 months. And it's just like, well, how? Like, people need to really look at what's going on here, because with injuries in this club, it's almost going hand in hand. And then another thing I wanted to mention was, I don't know if anyone noticed. Sorry, Sam, I'll come to you in a sec, but I don't know if anyone noticed, but the difference in, you know, when we talk about strength and depth. Now, I've got nothing. Okay, look, Sam would disagree, yeah, but Me personally, don't really think Eddie Nketiah fits the bill for Arsenal. I don't think Joe Willock
This guy's got a
is that
that.
is that great. I don't think they fit the bill, and I highly doubt that they'll rise to the status that we actually need them to do. If I'm honest with you, I'm looking at all the Haaland graduates right now, and I'm thinking they're calling them Haaland graduates, the future, blah blah blah. I'm not completely sold because I'm not too sure if any of them are, apart from Bukayo Saka, who by the way wasn't actually that great today. If I'm
do you know what? If he leaves Arsenal, he'll go and bang.
He will.
If I'm being honest,
I will not be surprised.
Or Chelsea or someone.
But putting that to the side.
The thing is, I feel like if he leaves Arsenal right now, he shouldn't go to another Premier League team just yet. He should go abroad. All these like upcoming English players, I reckon they should go abroad, like German league or something, to learn. I feel like they come back different players. You look at Sancho, you look at Bellingham, you look at well, again, I think we mentioned it earlier, one of our earlier podcasts with Reece Nelson, and how well he played over there when he went on loan to Hoffenheim. He started off really well. He kind of fell off a bit, but he started off very well at Hoffenheim. So for me, I've always been an advocate for them to go out again on loan. Nketiah, one more loan move, maybe to Willock.
I feel like
several.
I feel like putting that to the side for a second. Looking at the game today, especially, and I'm looking at the Tottenham bench. I'm like, damn, they got Lucas Moura that's gonna come off that bench and probably cause us a problem. Gareth Bale ain't playing very well. And I'm thinking to myself, if I was the Arsenal manager right now, all right, cool, things aren't working. I would turn around and look at my bench and I'll probably just start weeping. I'm like, well, who the hell am I bringing on? Like, who's actually going to change this game? Who's actually going to make a difference? And I'm sorry, but this is where it comes in because I mentioned it in Nketiah. Like, for me, like today, I think I mentioned in our group chat, I was like, I don't want to see Nketiah come on. Not because, as I said, I don't think he fits the bill or anything like that, but I do think he needs to be protected in certain cases because a game like this, I can't lie to you, Nketiah is not going to come on and change it. He won't. You may say you never know, but I think we've seen, for me, I think we've seen enough to suggest that, he'll come on, he'll chase things down and everything. But ultimately, the end result will be, like, it's not really, there isn't really going to be much of a change. So for me,
I mean,
you already know that he's under fire.
One thing I can say to add to that real quick, Kirk, sorry to cut you off, but if you look at the contrast, I'm not saying obviously they're two different players, two different positions, but you look at the difference that Nketiah made when he came on, and look at the difference that Ceballos made when he came on. When Ceballos came on, we looked a lot more creative, we looked a lot more, we acted a little bit more intent. And it's not so much, that's like what you said, it's not so much that you hate, there's no hate on Nketiah here, but it's the fact that, or the question is, can he be as impactful? Does he have the ability at the moment to come in and completely flip the game on its head? And that's where, it's questionable.
And this is what I've been saying for so long, because I was like, if you were to bring in a big man, and this is where I think Giroud was great at Arsenal, because putting all of the other problems to the side, he was another option. Do you get what I mean? Giroud coming off the bench, and you had Tierney and Saka whipping in crosses like they were doing there. Like, he will generally come off the bench and make a difference, because there was one thing I've always said about Giroud, and he knows how to get on the end of a cross, a set piece, anything like that. His movement in the box is probably some of the best I've seen, if I'm honest. When he's in and around the box and he needs to get his head on something, or he needs to get his foot on something to deflect it towards the goal, he's brilliant at it. But this is what I'm saying. Like today, Nketiah come on. Nketiah is not a big guy that you're going to be whipping in crosses to, and he's going to be getting at the end of it and doing all that kind of stuff. And I just feel like he needed to be protected. But as Felix said, Ceballos coming off the bench, I think he's also another one that had a good game. But Nigel's been a bit quiet. I'm going to bring him in quickly. Listening to everything. Last week he told us that Arsenal were on a ban for him, but I bet he couldn't help himself. I know he had a look at the game.
Honestly, Arsenal in the doghouse for me, bro. They're in the doghouse. I'm done. I was at church, and how come my pastor come and just do 1-0 sign? 1-0.
Oh.
I said, it's done, bro. That's it. My pastor's a Liverpool fan, by the way. So Rue, shout you, man. He walks he's cocky with it, innit? He can throw shade at me. It's nothing, because obviously Champions League winners, Premier League winners, they're the man them right now. So he's in the middle of the sermon. He just gives me one look. And I'm like,
how does he?
Nah, my pastor.
No, I'm saying because
he has his phone behind the pulpit, innit?
He uses his iPad to do the preaching. He does his iPad to do the preaching, so obviously he gets updates. So he just gives me one look, just done like that, and I'm like,
so
oh
done.
my God.
But I wanted to quickly before we move on. We've actually obviously it's a North London derby special. As I mentioned, we're going to be doing the United one next week as well. But I wanted to go to Nigel with this because it's exactly as he said. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Sissoko today in the middle. I can't lie to you, and I think ironically, Jose must have given them the instruction to completely nullify Lacazette as much as they could. Lacazette had a good game today, but I can't lie. Højbjerg, like he had him in his pocket. He literally had him like in his mind wherever Lacazette was. He was like, "No, I need to move with him. I need to go with him." And the two of them today, if I'm honest with you, they worked so hard and dominated that Spurs midfield. And just not just Spurs midfield, but just the midfield in general today. And they were getting into people's faces, clamping down on people. Jose Mourinho is going to be a bit dirty with it as well. He was like, I'm pretty sure he probably told them to leave one on him every now and again when you can, because they were doing that. But I wanted to go to you with this one because I remember you mentioning Højbjerg when he joined Spurs, saying that he's a destroyer. And I think we got to see that today. But going forward, how pivotal do you think him and Sissoko will be for Spurs? And do you think that's actually the best partnership that they've got at the moment?
In terms of like dirty work, literally sticking to a game plan and breaking up play and then giving it to the flair players, I personally don't feel, obviously, and Kante is sick at it, but Højbjerg, his presence in the midfield is mad. Like, I can't explain it. When I saw that he went to Spurs for such a cheap price, because I remember, I think it was last season, that's the reason why he lost his captaincy, because he said he wanted to leave Southampton. I was like, Arsenal need to get him, because he's the kind of player that we need in our midfield. And when he went to Spurs, I said, listen, Mourinho and him, perfect matchmaking, in my opinion. Honestly. And Sissoko, in my opinion, he's grown on me over the years. I used to think he was a winger at Newcastle, but again, because of his physical presence in the middle of the park, to do a job, he's got that discipline. And you've got someone like Højbjerg as well, talking to him constantly. Listen, physicality-wise, to get beyond them and get in front of that back four of them Spurs, it's a problem. It's honestly a problem because them man will wham you out, leave you with dirty tackles, and they're disciplined. That's the thing that you always get in a Mourinho team. So, like, I don't want to say it's the best midfield in the Prem just yet, but I can't lie, they've got the best defense. They're sitting at the top of the table. And even if their their starting 11 don't do enough, they've always got man at them.
Ralph, put that away on the bench. Put that away.
Listen, that's what people are screaming right now. Obviously,
someone asked me today if I'm Arteta, and I was like, no, I'm Arsenal out, fam.
No, throw the whole club away, bro.
But I wanted to throw something in the mix quickly to everybody. Just deep that Tottenham are actually still top of the table, having beat City, got a draw at Chelsea, and
at least the Premier League trophy's coming to North London, innit?
Wow, and
those are two. Those are two of the most dangerous teams that they were probably going to face this year in the Premier League. Liverpool being another, obviously, but you have to say with Liverpool's wounded defense at the minute, it is a little bit of a problem. Hopefully, Van Dijk can come back sooner rather than later. Joe Gomez and all of those guys there. I'm not too sure how long Trent is out for, but hopefully those guys can come back.
He's back.
Oh, he's actually
Trent
back. Okay, well,
right now.
That's good.
Back now, yeah.
I don't think anyone call our defense wounded because Matip has just scored as well, so I'm not having that.
but on a good day, on a Champions League match against Barcelona, are you playing Matip or Van Dijk?
Well, obviously Van Dijk.
Well, of course,
he probably wouldn't stand a chance. But
what, bro? I told you that no African footballer slander on this platform. Leave him alone.
You have to say how it is, man. You have to say how it is. But guys, we've spent a long time on the Arsenal Spurs reaction. I think the sooner we forget this one, the better. We've got man that writing Arteta out in their camera and all that. We don't really want any of that stuff.
Nah, bro.
I just remind you boys of one thing. The last time I checked, Spurs are still 4 miles and 11 titles away. You will be.
But I don't want to witness that in my lifetime. Yeah, it's not about that.
It's an L. It's an L.
It's an L.
If
It's
we win
an
the
L.
league, it's an L, bro. We haven't won a title in the modern era. Forget
Yeah.
about the invincible season, this season and all them seasons there. It doesn't matter. We're in the modern era now. If Spurs win the league, it's an L. Straight up.
Massive L. Massive
It's
L.
tough. It'll be tough to take. And
I don't want
to be honest,
I don't.
to be honest, if they won the Champions League a few seasons ago, I think that would have been even worse. But thankfully they didn't. So let's put that to the side for a sec. That's the end of the Spurs and Arsenal reaction. Anyway, we're gonna get into the rest of the topics. We are still, I think we're 40 minutes in now, so we should knock on a little bit. But the next question that we've got is, how can Klopp become a Premier League great? I know Ruri suggested this to me earlier on in the week. And I think it was a great topic to talk about, because obviously at this present moment in time, Klopp has won the Premier League, of course, won the Champions League. Well, he won the Champions League first and then won the Premier League, obviously, the year after. Two of the biggest titles in world football. Won the Super Cup as well. So it's one of those things where you're starting to suggest to yourself, obviously in this modern era, and in previous eras gone before, you have, the longevity. Alex Ferguson staying at Man United for so long, and winning all of those titles. Arsene Wenger staying at Arsenal for so long, winning all of those titles. But the question I think becomes, like, does longevity in football still exist? Do you think you'll be seeing Klopp at Liverpool for the next 20 years or so? And I think there's that question. And then also you move forward to say, is that what he needs to become a Premier League great, or do you think he's already there? So I'm going to go to Nigel with that question first and ask, in terms of Klopp, what do you think he's already a Premier League great? Or if you say like greatest of all time in the Premier League, do you think he's already there, or what more does he need to do?
In terms of longevity, we're not going to see the Wengers and the Fergusons, unfortunately. The way the game goes now, people don't have patience, so they want fast goals and results. Results speaks volumes. But in terms of Klopp being a legend in the Prem, in my opinion, he's already done it. I'm not even joking. Like they didn't win the league for 30 years, and he's come and done that. For me, he's already solidified it. The only way he can now become one of the Premier League greatest managers is probably try and win it again, probably 2-3 other times. I don't know, because they've been competing now, 2-3 seasons on a spin now. They're definitely top 2, if not top 3 in Europe. Like, everyone knows about Liverpool's front three. Everyone knows that Van Dijk is the best centre half in the world and this and that. Like, there's not much more that can really say to add to his reputation, really and truly. The only thing I'll say is try and do it back to back, or maybe try and get a treble to try and, obviously, because Man United are the only English club to win a treble. Other than that, I mean, the gap between him becoming him, I still class him as one of the greatest. He's a Premier League legend, anyways. But in terms of one of the greatest to be put in the same breath as Fergie, I would like to say Wenger. I got to add Wenger there. Mourinho, yeah, probably doing it more than once. So there's not really much to do left, to be honest. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go to Ralph next, because I know Ralph, you had a completely different angle on this. I remember in the group chat you mentioned that he needs to win the Premier League title like another 13 times and all that kind of stuff. Do you think that's still the case? Or?
Yeah, 100%. Nah, obviously I was exaggerating, but if we're being real, win it 14 times, win a treble, go unbeaten in a season, win back-to-back Premier Leagues. Simple as that.
But
listen,
in a time,
man, a few words today. Well, I'm so happy that I did not watch no football. I'm only watching Liverpool now, and they're just scoring magnificent goals. I'm happy in it. But he's already, obviously, like Nigel said in it, from time Liverpool didn't win a league for 30 years, and then whatever, like German Spicy come put in a team, done a Mazza, won the league, and they've been competing. So yeah, he's done a bit.
Yeah.
He'll be a Liverpool legend. He'll be a Liverpool legend. Like,
yeah.
But he's 14 Premier League titles away from being the best.
Sam, do you agree with that? Would you agree with that, or do you think he's already up
Sam,
there?
do you agree? Wait. Sam, do you agree that he's 14 Premier League titles away from being the best Premier League manager of all time?
Bro, we're not talking about him being the greatest ever. We're talking about him being amongst the greatest.
All right, just yes or no, though. To that
Yes,
question.
of course,
Alright,
of
cool.
course. He's got to win
I
more
know
Premier
that's
League
safe.
titles than Fergie to be the greatest. Of course. But yeah, nah. I think I don't know if I put him in a conversation now, but I think if he won the title again, he's definitely got to be in that conversation of the greatest Premier League managers of all time. And you know, Arsene Wenger only won 3 Premier League titles. So if Klopp matches that, you know, he's definitely got to be in the conversation. I think one of the main reasons why a lot of people loved Wenger is because they always see
he
that
won't
he
be in the
changed.
combo unless one of those seasons is unbeaten. Sorry to interrupt.
I was just getting there, bro. One of the main reasons why people give Wenger so much respect, despite you know, his last years at Arsenal, is because of the way he changed the game. You know, he had the unbeaten season. He had moments like fielding the first team to field 9 black players in the Premier League. You know, it's just significant moments, game-changing moments. You know, and that's one of the reasons why I love Wenger so much. But yeah, Klopp winning the Premier League title Liverpool haven't won it for years. That's a massive moment. You know, it changes the game. It's moments like that for me that will put you up there. You know, Fergie winning the title 13 times. That's ridiculous. Do you see what I'm saying? You know, these guys were a part of history. Unfortunately, the way the game goes now, the longevity is not going to be there. He's not going to do 15 years, even if he wants to stay there. Do you know what I mean? You know, the way Liverpool are now, they're a top team. They go 6 months out of form, he's gone. That's just the way it works. You know what I mean? A team like Liverpool can't be in the bottom half of the table with the players that they've got, especially looking at what they've already achieved. But yeah, if he just keeps pushing, obviously spotting the mistakes, like towards the end of last season, he spotted the mistakes, and that's why he brought in Thiago. It's just unfortunate that he's had all these injuries surrounding him. But I think if he continues like that, realizing the mistakes, bringing people in, just adding to the squad, you know, and I think he can do a few years. I think he can do 5, 6, maybe 7 years. But you know, wait, how long has he been there now? Sorry, he's been there already 5 years, right?
5, yeah, 5, yeah.
2015. My bad. So maybe stretching up onto 10 years. I think he can definitely do that.
That's long, though.
Yeah, you know,
10 years is long.
Huh?
10 years is long.
10 years is long. But when you consider when he started, because 2015 Liverpool were absolute, I can't lie, they were so poor. You know, they were 4-1 to Arsenal and stuff. You see what I'm saying? So I think the fact that he's brought them out of that, they have to appreciate it. It's almost like Wenger. You know, the reason why he got to stay for so long is because they had to appreciate what he done in the past, and that's why they said, okay, we'll give you another year, we'll give you another year, we'll give you another year. I think that's what they will kind of do to Klopp if he comes out of form. But yeah, like a team like Liverpool can't be sitting in the second half of the table. But in terms of him being one of the greatest, I definitely think he needs to win a couple more Premier League titles, have a few more significant moments as well in the Premier League, and he's definitely in the conversation. Definitely.
Yeah. Understandable. I think I fully agree with what you said there, Sam. Felix, do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I'll sort of jump on the back of what Sam said about the, you know, being considered one of the greatest managers. But for me, anyway, in terms of the modern era, I'll put him up there as one of the best of the modern era, certainly in the last decade or two. Not just the fact that he won the Premier League title with Liverpool after so many years, but it's just the manner in which they won the title. They completely tore apart everyone that most of them, the teams that they played. And not just the fact that they won the title, but you could literally see from the moment he came in, progression. Every season, they were getting better and better and better. Start of first season, I think they finished 8th. Second season, got into the top 4. Third season, came second. Fourth season, won the league.
Progression is key.
Yeah, exactly. And every season, he identified the problem areas and he fixed it. And they were just getting better and better and better and better. So obviously with longevity, obviously nowadays in football, not just as a results game, it's also a business. If you start losing money based on your results, and your team performances and whatnot, not qualifying for competitions and stuff, you're gone. So for me, if as long as he can keep that consistency going and just, maybe obviously winning the league. If you want to consider the Premier League greatest managers, the only thing you can do really is just keep winning the league. If you want to be considered one of the best in the league, one of the best managers in the league. So for me, yeah, if he can carry on winning that, the consistency, not so much the longevity, because obviously if he leaves, you only consider what he did when he was there. So if he can keep that consistency going, constantly being at the top, not so much. He doesn't. For me, I feel like he doesn't necessarily even have to win it every year. You don't have to dominate it every year. Obviously, that's when you want to consider him the greatest of all time to match the numbers of your Sir Alex Ferguson's and whatnot. But if he can consistently be at the top, in and around the top, then he's got to be considered.
Again, very true point. And obviously, Ru, I'm going to come to you last. I did it on purpose to give you the last word because I wanted you to hear, obviously, what everyone would have thought. But you being a Liverpool fan yourself, I'm sure you have. You being a Liverpool fan yourself, I'm sure you have, thoughts on how everything is going. I mean, looking at what everyone else has said, how do you feel about this? Do you think actually no, personally, how do you feel about Klopp staying on for another 10 years or so? Do you think that's possible?
Well, I know we've got him tied down till 2024, so I'm comfortable for the next 4 seasons. But anything beyond there, I'm terrified because I am currently living in what is probably the club's greatest era, almost. Where we're eclipsing records from the sort of 80s Liverpool with your Dalglish and Rush and all these kind of people way back. And we just keep finding ways to sort of get better and better each time. I'm really surprised none of you mentioned our cup history because I think that's been his biggest failing because we've never really strung together a successful cup run. And I think we've been to Wembley, once for a League Cup final, and that's it. Whereas, your Fergies, your Wengers, your Mourinho's, whatever, they've had pretty good cup success. So I was surprised none of you mentioned that. But other than that, I think, looking at who sort of deserves to be in sort of a managerial Hall of Fame in this league, I think Jurgen's really sort of moved his way towards sort of getting in there because, we lived in a horrible season where City won the league by 100 points and we didn't really see how anyone was ever going to get around that, who was going to sort of stop that dominance. And, Jurgen managed to do it, albeit with a heartbreaking 97-point season that came second. I mean, I don't know who does that. I don't think anyone's ever done that in any league. But he's just, managing to motivate these players to sort of keep getting better, keep going, and just sort of endure what is a really long period of time each season when you think about it, just keeping them motivated and keeping them going, and then going and
task.
We did last season. I think he's got more than enough reasons to suggest that he would be one of the best Premier League managers of all time because he's turned one of England's powerhouses that was falling to pieces into this world famous team again that everyone's talking about. And I just think that there's more than enough to say, he has to be the best manager of the last.
He loves it. Look at him. He loves it.
He's trying to keep a straight. He's trying to keep a straight face here, but
Let him laugh it up, man.
I can see in his posture. He's like that. He's sitting up straight. He's like,
they deserve it, man. They deserve it.
Do you know what? Hands up to you, man.
Done for others. Do the same for me.
Hey, quick question. How many Premier Leagues has Guardiola won? 1, 3 or 2? 2 or 3?
As well. I don't know. I think it's 4. Let me double check.
I think it's 2,
Isn't it 2? Yeah.
It's either 2 or 3. I can't actually remember.
I know he's done back to back.
Then won it by 100 points the next one. Pipped us to the title, and then
3 Premier League titles. Damn.
Only 2.
Yeah, 3. Wait, is it 3 or 2?
Oh, 3, yeah.
You sure?
3,
Is it 3?
I think
2 back to back.
2, yeah, it is 2.
Yeah.
17, 18, 19.
And that's it.
Oh,
Yeah?
he's mad. Okay, yeah. 2-2. You're right. Yeah, it's true.
So what does he get put in the category of one of the greatest then? Because we've only 2.
Yes, because he's won an English treble. He's completely changed.
Oh yeah, he's done a treble. Shit. Yeah. It's nuts.
I think with the way the question is asked, because it's asking, greatest Premier League managers. A lot of us tend to think just Premier League, but if we sort of expand it to just English football in general, then you start to consider the other trophies as well. Then that's when you can really see.
All right, well, let's go. It's that I think that is a true point. But Rue, what were you saying to finish off?
The bit I was talking about Pep.
Yeah, no. After that, were you saying something after that? No.
I was just saying he has to be considered because of how he there's not many foreign managers who come in and run riot in our league. And yeah, he finished 4th in his first season, but next season he goes and hits 100 points. Like that, then finds a way to just somehow get through this horrendous season-long battle with Liverpool and come out with 98 points, snatch it on the last day. And complete a treble. That has to get his name in there, surely, because I can't think of any reason not to. And I can't, when I sit and think to myself who deserves to be sort of considered as best Premier League managers, I can't think of any other names in the last sort of 5 years or so that can be added in with Klopp and Guardiola.
I mean, you look at someone like Rafa Benitez. I'm sure he's considered one of the Premier League's greatest managers. No,
well, he's never won it, has he?
Nah,
he's never won it. But I mean,
I wouldn't say Premier League.
No, the reason what I'm saying is when you look at English football, Rafa Benitez is one of the managers that people talk about a lot as probably not so much decorated, but in terms of what he did while he was at Liverpool and all that kind of stuff. He is a name that is mentioned quite a lot, no?
I feel like it's more on the European scene, not so much on the Premier League.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, that's what I was about to say because he won. That's the point I was about to make because he won obviously the Champions League with Liverpool in 2007 and all that kind of stuff. So you look at, was it 2007 or 2005? 2005, my bad.
2005, yeah.
2007, you lost. But if you look at, that, and we're talking about that as a thing, if you look at what he's done with that Liverpool team at the time, and then look at what Klopp has done, especially as Felix mentioned, in terms of the progression, it's like he's come in and completely changed the system and won 2 of the biggest titles in world football. You get to for me, I don't think he needs to win an FA Cup. Do you know what I mean? He's won 2 of the best titles. Who do you mean,
Klopp or? No,
I mean, obviously, if you look at Rafa Benitez and the way people talk about Benitez, then if you look at what Klopp has done, I don't think he needs to do much more, if I'm honest with you. I think if you look at Liverpool as a project and where he's brought them to, quite frankly, one of the best teams in the world at this present moment in time, don't really think he needs to do a lot more than that because he's built the best team in the world.
For me, I feel like you have to win an FA Cup.
I was just about to say that.
That's the most historic cup competition in the world, bro.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
know.
the thing. For me, I agree with what Sam says. To be considered one of the greatest managers in English football history, you have to win the domestic. You have to win the domestic trophies,
especially because Liverpool haven't won in ages as well.
They'll probably do it at some point.
I agree.
The greatest managers. If we're talking about Fergie, we're talking about Wenger or Pep, Mourinho. They've all won the FA Cup, so you need to win that trophy.
But this is the thing: do we talk about the FA Cup with that much prestige as we do with all the rest of the other cups?
Now, in general, though, the standard of football is not the same as it was back in the day. You see,
because don't you feel like back in the day that the FA Cup was looked at as a more prestigious trophy than it is right now?
It definitely has lost its prestige over the years, but you still can't disregard it as not being a title to be won domestically as the season goes on, because you're in the competition anyway. It's not like you apply for it.
I don't know, because it's one of them things where I don't know. Let's say Liverpool mess about, not so much mess about, but in a round or so they decide to go with a younger team. It doesn't quite work and they exit. I don't really think it's a dampener on the team in general. It's just that maybe that tactic at the time didn't work. I see. Okay, not by no stretch of the imagination am I saying that League Cup is the same as the FA Cup, because I do think the FA Cup does have a lot more prestige about it. But I don't know. I think when you talk about cup prestige and the cups that people really, really care about, the FA Cup for me doesn't really rank for me.
But
anyway.
then
It doesn't
care
really
about
rank
as a fan or as a player?
No,
Because
but
as
the
a
cups
player,
that
for
people
me, I
really,
feel like it's,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. As a player,
it's the as the fans, yes, you don't care about the FA Cup because you feel like, okay, it doesn't hold any weight, and it fluctuates, because I feel like it can hold weights at some point if it brings some sort of, nowadays there's more European qualification, so that holds a bit of weight to it now, and it has some sort of financial backing to it as well. So
But I say
that for me, that's where the weight comes from. But
I say what I say because I'm like, it's similar to the reason why we said Spurs winning the Premier League would be bad, but if they had won the Champions League, it would have been worse. I kind of look at it in that way. Obviously, as a fan, but you kind of look at it in a sense of you would ask anybody, and I don't know. I don't know, even if you ask players in general, one of the most prestigious, or not the most, one of the most, I think that is the most prestigious cup you can win as a player, the Champions League. Every player will say, "Oh yeah, we try and win everything." You know how PR works, because they always say that they want to play their best and blah blah blah. But if they were to be honest with themselves, I am so sure that every player would say that they would love to have a Champions League under their belt. Like if you were to put it in,
100%,
in that respect. But no, I fully agree.
Of course, because it's there to be won. It's like it's a tournament that is there to be won. Because for me, I feel like even if you go to like Spanish football and things like Copa del Rey and I think there's another Spanish competition that's there. It's like in that country, I'm sure the Copa del Rey and things like that is very prestigious to them, and you can see in the way they celebrate when they win and stuff. So for me, I feel like if you're in the competition, regardless of whether or not you field a squad of youngsters or things like that, and that's, for me, that's circumstantial. You don't intentionally field a weak squad. You probably have a big game coming up that you want to rest your players for or something. So you'd rather sort of risk that in quotes to try and prepare better for a bigger game in the league or something.
In all honesty, yeah, I think it is how you take it. For me personally, obviously for other people, and I can understand why you say, you probably need to win a domestic cup to be considered this, or to be considered if you're trying to talk about English football, which is true. As Sam mentioned, the prestige that comes with the FA Cup, in a sense, because of his the history behind it and everything. FA Cup is the longest cup running competition in football in general. But I don't know. I just look at what Klopp has done, and I honestly just think it's he's already there in a sense. But as I said, at the same time, I can understand what everyone's saying. But we kind of switch it to you guys watching. Let us know if you think Klopp needs to do any more to become one of the greatest managers or Premier League managers of all time, or do you think he's already there? But moving on to the final topic.
Quick one. Like, perfect example, yeah. You know how they always say a Premier League double, to win a Premier League and an FA Cup, that's considered a big thing. So if Klopp could do that, kudos. Obviously, a treble is a bit far-fetched because the amount of fixtures and everything, injuries, it's not going to happen in this day and age, in my opinion. But like a Premier League double where you win a Premier League and an FA Cup, if Klopp can do that with Liverpool, then yeah, in my opinion,
he's up there.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Understood. I agree with that as well. I think everyone would agree with that statement as well. But to finish things off, obviously on a much sadder and more disgusting, I guess, note. And I think it's. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm getting sort of bored of talking about these kind of things. I'm just getting bored of it. The whole Millwall fans. I'm sure everyone watching. I'm sure you would have seen the disgusting behavior from Millwall fans after they their team. Who were they playing again?
Was it Derby?
Derby, that's it. Millwall versus Derby. Obviously, the taking of the knee resulted in Millwall fans booing throughout the stadium, which it speaks volumes of what's been going on in football for so long. And I honestly, I'm at the point right now. I don't even know what question to even ask about this, because I'm just like, we're not bored of talking about it. Like, it just happens all the time. Like, it's one of those. It's one of those things where it's just too reoccurring. So I put it out there to any of you, if any of you have any comments to give on this thing before we close, because it's obviously it's disgusting. But yeah,
I think for me, when I saw it, it was like I wasn't surprised. The main reason why I wasn't surprised is because I'm not gonna go out there and say that Millwall has a history of racism, because I don't know my facts like that. But I know that Millwall have a history of being rebellious, fam, and just going against the system. And what upsets me the most about it is the fact that people just keep calling the Black Lives Matter movement a political movement and all this stuff, and pretty much where we just want to live like everybody else. That's the reason why the movement was made. We don't feel like we don't feel like we're treated like everyone else, and we want to speak up against that, because we deserve to be treated like everyone else. And that's why football started it. Do you see what I'm saying? Taking the knee shows that everyone is together. The same thing. It's the same reason why they're doing the rainbow. Everyone is together. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a sign of unity, and the fact that a set of fans can boo that, especially Millwall, who had a black right back. How imagine playing as a right back for that team, and the Black Lives Matter movement is getting booed. Your fans don't feel like your life matters. You wouldn't want to play for that team anymore. You see what I'm saying? And he's not going to come out and speak up, because he doesn't know whether if he left Millwall, he's going to get another contract. That's the situation that these type of players are in. That's the reason why you see the likes of Andy Cole back in the day, or Dwight York. They didn't speak out on this type of thing because they didn't know where their career would go after. And it's just sad to see. I heard the same thing happened at West Ham as well. West Ham's pretty much the same as Millwall, a history of being rebellious, their fans. So, obviously there's a lot more that needs to change, but this just goes to show why we take the knee in the first place. It's because of things like this. It's just sad to see that it's English fans, doing it whilst black players are playing for your team. And I don't know what the Premier League or what the FA needs to do in terms of how dealing with this, but people like that shouldn't be allowed to go into games. Especially, we've had a tough year, and we've just been allowed to have fans back in the stadium. Yes, it's small, but it's something. It shows a sign of progression towards having a full stadium again. And to just have to deal with this, man, I'm tired of it, bro. We shouldn't even have to take a knee. You see what I'm saying? We have to be in a position where we speak out and protest. And the fact that these guys are booing it, bruv, like
it's true. I was saying it yesterday. I fully agree with Sam. As I said, it's just tiring to talk about now, because as you mentioned, we shouldn't have to take a knee. And I was saying it yesterday. Funny enough, with while me and Felix were in our living room, I mentioned that I was in a bit of a back and forth with someone on Twitter. And it was after someone had put a message on Twitter after, the whole thing came out, and there were videos on Twitter, and someone replied to the video saying, "Oh yeah, we get it now. Like, basically we can stop." And a lot of people, that tweet got a lot of heat. So I jumped on the back of it, and I was telling them that I think after he mentioned it, someone had tweeted something saying that why should they stop and all that kind of stuff. And then the person that basically tweeted that first tweet to condemn the taking of a knee called him a melt and said, "Oh yeah, we got it in the first week," kind of thing. So I tweeted back to that guy that tweeted basically condemning the knee, saying that if you can't see the problem with the first two tweets that you've already put out saying that we got it in the first week, and you're calling someone a melt because they think it should go on, then you're part of the problem. And I remember someone got back at me, and he was saying to me that, "Oh yeah, but what about when it inevitably stops anyway? What about when the whole taking of a knee inevitably stops?" And long story short, he went on to say that, "Oh yeah, the taking of the knee doesn't it's not changing anything. It is not going to change anything." And I said to him that, look, the taking of the knee isn't going to change anything. That's true, but that's not why they're taking the knee. The taking of a knee is just a symbol. It's not, we take the knee and you stop. It's a symbol to get the conversation started. That's what the taking of a knee is. When you take the knee, you get people talking. A symbol is supposed to get people talking. So that's what I said to him. I said, the symbol is to get people talking, one, and it's the reason why we're talking right now. If that knee wasn't taken earlier on in the day, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. So that's where the thing that thing opens up. And this is what I'm saying, that people are just seeing the taking of the knee because it's not being explained properly. People literally think it's just a gimmick. People are just doing it. We're just like, it's just there. It's just being done. But I keep saying that a lot more needs to be done with these commentators and stuff. I said to Felix recently, there was a game about a week ago where they say the taking of the knee was for world equality. I was like, no, it's not. That's not what it's for. Obviously, ultimately, yeah, maybe world equality. But what do you mean for world equality? It started from one place and one place only, and that's the Black Lives Matter movement. And what is the Black Lives Matter movement? But nobody will explain that. And unfortunately, that's the problem. And I feel like that's why we're tired, because it's like we're just doing things just for the sake of doing things, and no one really understands what's going on. But yeah, that's a rant over from me. I don't know what anyone else has to say.
It's just a lack of education, man. It just sums up the whole thing in a nutshell, really and truly. Like, I grew up 5-10 minutes away from Millwall, so I've known Millwall have always been scum. Like, that's normal. Like, I remember driving past there with my mum and dad, and they, man, were rowdy. So for them to do what they done, I'm not even surprised, to be honest with you. You get me? It's just, I just feel sorry for like the player that Sam said that's a black player and is playing for them. It's just a shame. But it speaks volumes about Millwall. It speaks volumes about West Ham. And when are people going to realize that this thing is not just a gimmick? It's bigger than that. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's all in God's hands, my guys, man. It's all in God's hands.
I mean, I like what Sam said about the rainbow laces and how it's a campaign. And that is, I think it's done annually, or I think every couple months or something. It's not so much the thing itself. It's just a symbol, like you said, Kirk. It's a symbol that raises awareness. It's a symbol that gets the conversations going about discrimination and whatnot. Similar thing with this, because I feel like a lot of people are sort of angry about it, because it's almost like, yeah, the UK is just jumping off the back of the tragic things we've seen in America over the last few months, or this year almost. So it's like, oh yeah, the Black Lives Matter thing kicked off, and we're just seeing that because an African American man was killed by police officers. So that's not happening here. Why are we talking about it? But it kind of is, and it's not just police brutality. The Black Lives Matter thing is not necessarily just for police brutality. It's about systematic disadvantages that certain demographic of people have been unfortunately be put into. So it's like it's a bigger issue than just police brutality or whatnot. And I feel like what Nigel said, education really is the key to really open people's eyes on this.
Yeah, I think it's well said. I know if Sam and Ralph have to go soon. I don't know if Rue has any final comments before we close up, but yeah, if you just want to speak quickly, and then we'll finish off.
I just think in one real quick statement. We have been absent from football for 9-10 months. If that is your priority, to go to a game and boo at taking of the knee, you really need to think about what your priorities are, because you are one of the very lucky few to have been allowed to finally go back to a public event, and you've used it to display that kind of message. Why? What was the need? You didn't need to do that. There was no place for it. If you have been allowed to go to a game, cherish that opportunity and do what some of these other fans have been doing, like the Liverpool game tonight when they took the knee, they applauded. Why just... It's shit, man.
Just to be honest with it, yeah. It's true. But yeah, on a much sadder note, unfortunately, that's how we have to end the podcast this week. As we always say, make sure you just keep abreast of what's going on with our socials on @RevealFooty on Twitter and on Instagram. And also make sure you join us next week as well. As I said, there's going to be another derby special. We're going to be looking at the Manchester derby, which is between Man United and Man City. So that should be an interesting one. But again, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you, and we love the support we've been getting for these podcasts as well. But we hope to see you guys next week. And